Welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast and YouTube channel. I'm so excited you are here. I cannot wait to get into today's topic, which is all about the paperwork that you need to work with your clients as a professional organizer. Now, I remember when I first started working with clients and when I first, was starting my business and I was creating all the things. I kept wondering, like, what paperwork do I actually need? Because some people would say that, you needed a mileage log. And then other people would say, oh, no, and it also needs to be digital. And then other people would say, no, you can, just take actual papers. Then other people would say, well, you don't really need a contract, or you can just do a small agreement. And you don't like the information that I was getting was so all over the place. Every single person had a different opinion about what I should do in my business. And so what I realized was I needed to think about my clients, what my goal is with my clients, and then go from there. So for me, the way I still to this day do the paperwork in my business is on actual paper. I go and print them out. They are very simple. It is just the agreement and then a mutual release of liability that I also put in for my clients. Now, the reason I do that is because a lot of the clients that I work with, I'm helping them declutter more than I am actually organizing. So I'm hauling away a lot of things that they own. And so I've had to add things like making sure there's a spot in my paperwork that says anything that you release to Love, Laugh, Organize becomes my property. So then I have the authority to release those to the donation centers and to the dumps and that kind of thing. So my point is you will figure this out as you go. And as you work with your clients, you can always pivot later on. But what I want you to know is that I actually have created a mini course where every single piece of paper that I'm going to talk to you about today in the mini course for $27 at proorganizerzacademy.com. I walk you through it all. You get it as a template that you can edit in Canva. It is so simple, and then you can print it off and just use what you need. Now, I even go over this in the mini course. It also is in the big course as well. But I have offered quite a few extra little pieces of things that you don't have to use them all. I wanted you to have access to them if later in your business you feel like you need them or that they would benefit you somehow. Or if you even wanted to use as like a freebie, like I have a couple bonuses that if you wanted to use them as a freebie, you could. The reason I put so many different things in there is because I want to make sure that whatever you need, you have. Now, you really can keep it super simple and do like I do and just do the client agreement and leave it at that. Now, I did not put the mutual release of liability in there because of legal purposes. That is something that you can absolutely look up online and build your own mutual release of liability. That is something that falls more under the actual, when you're a lawyer, like you need a lawyer for your business, those types of things. And so I didn't add the mutual release of liability to this set of paperwork because if you get insurance, you're good anyways. And I didn't know if you would be specifically working with clients to help them declutter. And I also wanted to make sure because every single state is so different. And so that's the one thing that I didn't want you to think, oh, well, I'm using this mutual release of liability, but then you didn't have a leg to stand on in case something happened in your business. But every other piece that I have, we're going to talk about very quickly. If you would like to go purchase the forms and the mini course that comes with it, where I walk you through every single one, how to edit them, what you need in them, all of the things. Again, just go to proorganizerzacademy.com. The links will be in the show notes below, or go purchase the big course where I can walk you step by step, and that has the paperwork as well. I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. So let's get into it. What do you actually need to use as a professional organizer working with clients? So there are some things that are helpful, which is another piece of what I did with this paperwork. These are a few things that you're probably not going to use for the rest of your business, but at the very beginning, it's super beneficial to have. I wanted, as a coach, to help you have options of things to look at, like, for instance, a project questionnaire. So when you go to do your consultation, depending on what the project is, I put a bunch of different questions in there that you do not want to ask them all, but it'll get your mind thinking, and you want to ask the ones that are beneficial and that just get you thinking, ooh, I probably should ask that question during the consultation. Now, the client does not have to see the questionnaire. You definitely do not want to overwhelm them with like, hey, here's this whole questionnaire, fill out the whole thing. That is not what it's for. What it's for is to give you an idea of the questions you should be asking and to remind you of, oh, now that I'm in here doing this consultation, depending on the project, there are some different types of questions that I should be asking. Now, there's also the client intake form in the paperwork that I have for you. The client intake form is the form that the clients will never see. It's when you get on the phone with them. So whether they've called you or on your website, you have a Calendly link or a form that they fill out, and then now you're calling them. However you get on the phone with them, once you get on the phone, you want this client intake form in front of you so you can ask questions and you know what questions to ask during the phone call. And then, like I said, for the project questionnaire, now you know what questions to ask during the consultation based on the client and what the project is. So for the actual intake form, it literally is so, like, you want to keep it so high level and you want to ask more questions and just allow them to talk. And we're going to go more into this in one of the future episodes of this series that I'm creating for you, which obviously we are currently on episode 5 of the series. So I've tried to create this series in a way that you get like bits and pieces of what the course is, but as an overall, it's something that will help you and it give you all the little pieces that you need for the bigger puzzle of starting your business. Now, again, there's so much to go into when you're starting a professional organizing business that I did not want to overwhelm you. I didn't want to go too tactical. So each of these are just something to get you started and to get you thinking about. If you want to dive further and you want all of the pieces, that's when you would go to the academy and purchase the How to Start Your Organizing Business course, which comes with the paperwork. It comes with 3 months free of our group coaching community. And it comes with a workbook. So as you're doing the workbook and you're going through the modules and you're doing the steps to start your business, you can write in your workbook, take a photo, pop it into the app of the group coaching community, so we can support you and hold you accountable and give you, feedback. And then we have weekly group coaching that you can attend to ask your questions so we can support you on this journey that you're on, because it isn't just cookie cutter for everyone. And I wouldn't want it to be. We want you to figure out your unique purpose as a professional organizer. You don't want to look like what everyone else is doing. That way you stand out. That way you attract the right people to you. That way you are actually helping the people that you are meant to help. So I know the paperwork piece can get very like it's so tactical. It's like, oh my gosh, will someone just show me what this paperwork even looks like, right? And so that's why I've created this mini course, is because I did not want you to get stuck on just the paperwork. So for $27, it will at least get you the paperwork and a mini course of me walking you through. I know a lot of times we think that we should do something, so we're like, oh, and then we overcomplicate it sometimes because we don't know what it looks like. One of the ladies in the membership, Trista, always says, kiss, Samantha. Keep it simple, stupid. So, or keep it simple, silly. But the point is to keep it simple, whatever the simple answer is. Now, for me, that simple answer was I do the client intake form when I get on the phone. Half the time I don't even fill out all of it. It's just more of getting a few little pieces of information and talking to the client. And then at the consultation, again, I still have a clipboard and I take notes sometimes, but then I also have my client agreement on paper. And at the end of the consultation, I go over that with them. Again, I have the release of liability form, but if you want to get insurance and then you want to see if in your state it would even work for you specifically to have a release of liability. But besides that, that's all the paperwork that I use for my business. I don't use any of the other stuff. I've added and condensed it all into my agreement, and that's fine. Now, for you, depending on your tax bracket, depending on all sorts of different things, you might want to keep up with your mileage. You might want to have a separate form that's a photo release, right? And so all of the forms that I have for you in my bundle for the mini course is your service agreement / contract. Now, that's the whole agreement. It has multiple different things. And again, I go through it in the mini course, but each paragraph I go through and I talk to my client about as I am doing the consultation. Once we get to the end of the consultation, I say, hey, is there somewhere we can sit down, or let's sit down at the table? We sit down. And then I go through and I'm like, this paragraph means this, and this means this, and this says this. And then that's when I have them sign it. Now, a lot of my members in the group coaching community, they actually send theirs electronically. So whenever some of them, after they get the phone call, before they even go do the consultation, they'll send the client agreement. Some of them wait until after they've done the consultation. Then they'll write up kind of a little proposal and send the client agreement. And they tell them this has to be signed before I can come to my first session. There's so many different ways that you can do it, and no certain way is right or wrong. It's just about figuring out what works for you. And sometimes you have to try it, see if it works, and then pivot, and that's okay as well. So again, in the bundle, we have the service agreement or contract, whatever you'd like to call it. I personally hate using the word contract because it makes me think of like Verizon or something that I'm going to be locked into for 2 whole years. So I feel like it has kind of a negative connotation sometimes. And so I personally like to say service agreement. And then the client intake form, which is the one during the phone call, the project questionnaire, which is the questions you would want to ask during the actual in-home consultation. And then we have a photo and video release form if you would like that to be separate, or you can take and just add that as a little piece in your service agreement. It's all in the thing, but essentially saying that they give permission that the photos or the videos that you use while you are doing sessions with them or in their home, that they are okay with. The way I always phrase it to them is, because everything's 100% confidential. So I always make sure to let them know it's for the before and after photos that I use, but it will never have like your name in it or any of like your kids' photos that are on the wall, anything like that. Most clients are like, oh yeah, it's fine, no problem. Some clients are a little iffy. And if they are a little iffy, then you can always say, well, if you don't mind me taking the photo, but I will make sure to send it to you and show you what the photo is before I actually put it on my social media or use it for my business. I will get your approval of what the photo looks like. Almost 100% of the time, if they were a little iffy before, once you say that, they're like, okay, that's fine. You can take the photos, and then if you'll let me approve them before you use them in your business, each individual photo. Because for them, some of them are ashamed, right? Or like they're like, ooh, the like photos of my home, I don't want those out. And the other thing I always tell them is no one's going to know which client I was working with unless you want them to know, right? And you go do a review or something like that and you share the photos. But if you don't want them to know, it could be, Joe Blow from Timbuktu's photos. Like they have no idea of knowing whose bedroom this is. And a lot of times that helps them as well. Like, oh, okay, it's not going to be like this was Anne's organizing session. Here's her bedroom, right? Because people, I mean, I don't blame them. I would be a little iffy too if someone's like, can I take photos of your home and put them on the internet? So you've got to think about those things and make sure that you just are very open and communicate in a way that lets them know that you have their best interest at heart and that you would never do anything to jeopardize their trust or, what they're expecting. Now, I also have a mileage log. There's a testimonial request, which you could do this on paper, or now that everything's so digital, what I love is having my Google link. And so I will always share the link. But before I share the link, I will actually ask them, hey, do you mind giving me a 5-star review? You've got to ask for what you want. And you don't want 2 and 3 and 4-star reviews. You want 5-star reviews. So you want to wait until they're at a point. You don't even have to wait until the job's fully done. If you've done a session with them and they are like ecstatic that day, that's the day that you can be like, hey, do you mind? So it really helps my business when I get 5-star reviews on Google. If I send you the link, do you mind to give me a 5-star review? You can ask them in person or you can text them after the session. Either way. And once they say, oh, yeah, I'm more than happy to, that's when I will send them the review link. But I will say, here's the link to leave me a 5-star review. I really appreciate you. Reminding them that I expect that 5-star review. So that's just a little tip with the testimonials. Now, the testimonial request, that's a piece of paper that if you would like to use like the wording on there, you can always use the wording to ask someone like, hey, do you mind if I use your review on my website? Or, because there's different places that we want to make sure we have testimonials. We can also pop them on our social media accounts as like a post with like a pretty photo behind it or something with just the wording. And then you don't have to put the person's name if they're not okay with it, or you could put their initials or something like that, or like just their first name maybe. But you could always ask them like, hey, what are you comfortable with me sharing this testimonial? Here's where I would like to use it. Do you mind if I use your first name and last initial? Do you mind if I just use your first name, or do you not want me to use a name at all? So, point being is a lot of times it's just about asking the client. They will let you know. All right. And then I have a few things that are kind of if needed, right? So these are things that you're not necessarily going to need, but you could need. And so one of them is an invoice form. Now, you can always send an invoice through Square, which I talk about a lot in the course and in the community. You can use Square. You can use your HoneyBook account. You do not want to use your QuickBooks account because that will end up creating a double billing thing, which is a whole other thing for taxes. But just trust me, don't use QuickBooks to send invoices. But you can use it through Square. Again, you can use it through HoneyBooks. There's multiple places that you can send an invoice digitally. Now, this is more for if someone is wanting a paper invoice, which most of our clients do not. But if you've purchased a ton of product for them or you've done quite a few sessions, they may want you to invoice them for them to pay it. Or like right now, I'm working with a lady through a trust company. So I have to send an itemized invoice of what the hours we're doing, any products that I've purchased. So this just gives you a paper invoice if you needed to edit it, use it, print it out, and then use it for sending it to your clients. But again, most people are okay with digital invoicing these days. And the other thing is a quote. So it's on here. It's a professional organizer quotation is what it's called. But it's not a contract. It is our best guess at the total price. So this would be for someone if you are doing sessions or someone is like really big on wanting a quote. You just want to make sure that you keep on there that the terms and conditions, this is our best guess. Now, 99% of you that follow me and that listen to me, you are not going to be someone that needs to send a quote to a client. But there are some of you that are going to be doing the types of jobs that they need a quote because they need to get it approved, or it's such a big job that they need to get approval, maybe because you're going to be helping other businesses organize their business or whatever. And so I wanted to make sure that paper was in there in case you ever came across a time that you would need it. But if you don't need it, you definitely do not have to use it. And then the other, there is a billable hours form in here, which is, if you would like to keep up with each client, how many hours you've done, how long it took, the amount they paid you, just more for your records, or even for them if they ask. Like I have one client right now that has asked for the photos along with the receipts of everything we've donated because she plans on using them for tax purposes. So I actually created a Google folder on Google Drive, and I have uploaded all of the photos of the donations, anything she has decided to release. And I have taken photos of them along the way. We've uploaded all of those photos along with any receipts that I've gotten when I've taken the donations for her at the end of each session. And then if she was someone that for whatever reason needed some sort of paperwork for the hours we have worked together, then this would be a perfect piece of paper to use and write down each session we've done, maybe a little note about what we did that day, but it's more about the amount and keeping up with that as well. So again, it's just something that if you needed it, you could use it. Now, I've also got a client evaluation form. You do not have to use this whatsoever, but if you would like some feedback, especially when you're first getting started, that is the perfect form for you to ask a client to fill out once you guys are done working together. And it says things like overall experience on a scale of 1 to 10, specific services, like how was my onboarding process? How did you feel about my communication and responsiveness to you? How did you feel about the professionalism? And it says of our team, but you could put of my business or of, and then your name. The point is that you can edit all of these. And then it's feedback. This is more of a detailed, if you'd like to give us some feedback and a testimonial. So if you are wanting to go more like, I hate to say high end, but if you're wanting to go more of very professional and have all the paperwork and take them through this process and especially get feedback, right? Like a lot of these companies do now where they ask their workers and everyone for feedback, then that is the form that you would want to use. Just make sure to go through and edit it and then understand that you're going to get constructive criticism, but that's always amazing because that's going to help you grow in your business. Then I also have a shopping list. It's literally just a piece of paper that has like where you can keep up with the items you have shopped for, how many you got, the price you spent on them, and the store you got them from. It's more for you to keep up with, but it also is helpful. So you could even make a copy of it and give it to the client afterwards as well if needed. And then I have these couple of bonuses for you. So I have a decluttering checklist, which is something that if you are organizing for someone, not with them. Now, I most of the time organize with my clients, not for them, but you might be someone that's going to organize for your clients and not necessarily with them. Well, then you could use this declutter checklist to say, hey, if I come across any of these old things, check mark the things that you are okay with me getting rid of for you. And that is something you can ask them to just check mark. Now, most of us, we're going to be working with our clients. The other thing is you want to make sure, even if they've check marked all of this, like it says like expired cleaning supplies, old grocery bags, old notes, miscellaneous business cards. Like it just has a bunch of different random things. There's a few ways you can use this. Like I said, you could use it with the client. You can have them check the things that they're okay with, or have them look through and say, hey, just, maybe circle the ones you're not okay with. Now, two things. One is you want to make sure to have them look through it before you actually haul it off, and make sure that you don't ever take away something that maybe they didn't mean for you to take away, because that could get really bad. And then the other thing is that you could actually use this decluttering checklist as like a quick tip Tuesday or trash Thursday or whatever you wanted to call it, where you post things once a week of like, hey, today is recycle your stuff Tuesday, or I'm horrible with names off the cuff. Sorry, guys. But, and then you can be like, hey, go through your house and throw away any old magazines that you're no longer using. You know, those types of posts that we all use as organizers. And it is all sectioned off through like office, coat closet, living room, utility closet. So it's in different sections for you. So it's a lot easier to look through. That is 3 pages. And then last but not least, I have a professional organizing tools checklist for you. Now, you do not need all of these things. There's tools, there's professional essentials, cleaning supplies, different types of tapes, and different types of labels. You do not have to have all of these things. But what's really great about it is as you look at it, it's going to make you think of a few things that you're like, ooh, that would be good to have, right? And so it's just about being prepared and maybe having our, work bag that has the stuff that we are going to use when we get to a client's home. For me, I always keep my trash bags that are the contractor ones I always recommend, my gloves. I keep the like medical masks that are like little blue ones in case I'm, depending on where I'm working that day. And then from there, I always have like my label maker. I have different tape for the label maker, like clear with the black on it, white with the black writing, and then a few other different colors. I also have some for fabric. And then I have like pins. You want to have like a little small step up stool that you take with you to clients' homes. That's always a huge one. Duct tape, a Sharpie, like there's different little things that just make life a lot easier. And you will learn these things as you go and as you start working with clients. Or if you're in the community, you will learn because you will have us to ask and you will hear everyone else talking about their stuff. Or if you ever need to DM me or put a comment in the comments here on YouTube, it will send me a notification and I will make sure to reply to your comment. I hope that this list has helped you of understanding all of the different forms that you could use in your organizing business that are nice to have access to. But again, those first few are the only ones that you necessarily have to have. Like, of course, you have to have some kind of contract or agreement that you have your client sign. You definitely want to make sure to do that to protect yourself. And then you also definitely want to have some sort of client intake that as the process that you take your clients through. So then that way you are asking the questions and you can come to your sessions prepared, right? But you don't have to go overboard with this. And especially at first, keep it simple, silly. And, just take it one step at a time. Know that you are not alone, that everyone else has gone through this phase. If they are a professional organizer, they have gone through the stages of not sure what to bring or how to bring it or, what to say to the clients. Do we measure? When do we measure? How do we measure? All of those things. And that's why I've created everything I've created for you here at POC. So you don't have to feel alone. So you don't have to feel like you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing when you go do the phone call and the consultation and the sessions and the follow-up or the maintenance sessions, or what if you get a virtual session, or what if someone like there's all these what ifs when you're first getting started and as you start working with clients. There's still things that I figure out about myself, and that just like the whole, adding into my contract that once you release it to me, it becomes my property. I just did that maybe 6 months to a year ago because we don't know what we don't know. And that's what I love about all of us doing this together in the community, is because of exactly that. 10 heads are better than one. And so I love the sisterhood that we are building, and I would love for you to come be a part of that. And don't forget, if you want to do the mini course, it's at proorganizerzacademy.com. I have a couple of mini courses, and I have a couple of the bigger courses. And I'm offering you as a listener for listening to this series because I'm so proud of you for staying till the end and for being on this journey for yourself. $50 off either one of the big courses, the How to Start Your Organizing Business course, or the if you need a website course, it's how to create your website in 5 days. And it comes with a template, it comes with everything you need, and it comes with a course of me walking you through tactically and tangibly how to do it and showing you how to do that as the course. So if you need a website, that's also a course that I have. But on either one of the big ones, am giving you $50 off. If in all caps you put in save 50, it'll give you $50 off either one of those because I want you to succeed and I want you to be able to purchase the courses, go through the steps, get your business off the ground, but then also have us as a community supporting you and cheering you on along the way. I'm so proud of you. Keep going. I cannot wait to see you back in the next episode of this series. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to proorganizerscoach.com to find all the ways that we can help you succeed in your business. Remember, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives through decluttering and organization. So keep honing your skills, embracing those challenges, and fostering connections. Girl, you've got this.